Good morning. This is the Louisiana Watchman Radio Program. I am Brian Bridges. Got delayed a little bit this morning. Somebody forgot to tell me they had a parade or something going on in town. So I apologize for that, for being late. Today, there's a couple things I'm going to get into. Last week I left off with talking about Bill Still's book, No More National Debt, and I got into it a little bit, explaining what's in the book. Basically, deals with our money problems that we have today and the root of the problems, and the book really goes into depth of what money is, difference between having money backed by a commodity such as gold and silver, or a fiat money which is backed by nothing but, well, I say nothing, but it's backed by the good faith of the government. The Federal Reserve System, which handles our money, is a fiat money because it's not backed by anything except for the good faith of the federal government. But the problem with the Federal Reserve notes, or our current money today, is that there's interest charged on every dollar that's created into existence, which is actually borrowed into existence. So I don't think I'm going to get into the book today because there are other issues that I want to talk about. Okay, first thing I wanted to talk about, State Senator Guillory, Albert Guillory. He, after the legislative session, a couple weeks after it ended, he was a Democrat, but he switched parties. He switched to the Republican Party, and right now he's kind of making the tour nationally on news networks and such, radio shows, which I haven't listened to any of them, because I really don't listen to, I don't watch the news or listen to political talk show radio shows, because to me they're just biased. But he's making the rounds, I guess, explaining on the shows why he changed parties, and I read an article that when he first changed, there was a gentleman that interviewed him, James Varney from NOLA.com. Had a little interview with him, and he transcribed the interview into an article. And James Varney asked him the question. This is James Varney speaking. And switching now to your own personal odyssey during this session. I know this isn't the first time you've changed parties, but do you feel now like you're at home with the Republicans? And State Senator Guillory's response was, yes. You can see that the Democratic Party has moved quite far to the left on quite a number of issues: family values, the definition of marriage, gun rights, school prayer, abortion. They've moved far to the left of Louisiana and far to the left of basic American values. So I just couldn't stand that any longer. And there were also some foolish remarks made this past session that I could no longer be associated with. I had to get out of there. The foolish remarks that Senator Guillory was referring to was something that State Senator Karen Carter Peterson, senator representing New Orleans, had remarked on the floor of the state Senate, that opposition to President Obama's liberal policies is rooted in racism. I don't know, be it that it will. Let you be the judge of that. But Senator Guillory mentioned about family values and abortion being two of the issues of why he could no longer stay in the Democratic Party. Now, I'm not taking sides here on a particular political party. I don't. I have come to a point in my life where I don't believe in party loyalty. I believe both of the dominant parties in America, which is the Democratic and Republican parties, are only loyal to their party platform and whatever their party agenda is. I do not believe that the two political parties are in the best interest of America, in best interest of our individual God-given rights, and I don't believe they represent the law of the land anymore. But two of the issues that Senator Guillory brings up, family values and abortion. Well, on the 12th of this month, there was an article on the website The New American, and it was an issue over the Plan B contraceptive issue. It was an issue that came up about lowering the age, taking Plan B off the prescription list and making it an over-the-counter drug, which, if no one knows what the Plan B contraceptive is, it's the morning after pill. Basically, if a woman engages in intimate relations, the next morning she could take this pill and abort the baby. So anyway, and the White House had kind of stepped in, and they were fighting in the court the age limit at which this drug can be sold over the counter. This is one of the issues that Senator Guillory had a problem with his party. I'm not going to read the entire article. This is just the first paragraph of this article from the New American, titled "The White House Won't Fight Over-the-Counter Plan B Contraceptives for Minors." The Obama administration has announced that it will drop its opposition to a federal court ruling that makes morning-after contraceptive pills available over-the-counter without a prescription and with no age limits. The ruling means that girls of any age will be able to purchase the contraceptive without parental consent. The emergency contraceptive, designed to be taken within 72 hours after a woman has sex, is known by pro-life activists as the abortion pill. Because of evidence that it can cause spontaneous abortion in women who take it by preventing a newly conceived embryo from implanting in the uterine wall. So this is one of the reasons why State Senator Guillory has switched parties. I can side with him on that. This is a man who his conscience will not let him to be a part of a party that supports this kind of policy. He believes. Well, I would assume he believes in life in the womb. But on the family value side, I mean, this takes the accountability and responsibility from the parents of the child. A child can now engage in lewd behavior and have consequences from the actions that they do, and they can resolve those consequences by taking a pill, and the parents never know about it. It's all part of a bigger problem in this country, which deals with just the moral character of people in the country today. And it stems back to, and you've heard me talk about this in the past, it stems back to 1962, 1963, when the Bible Bible reading was taken out of school, and prayer was taken out of school. From that point, it's been a steady decline in the moral standards set by God, set by the Word of God in the Bible. That people no longer, they don't even know. This generation, and maybe another generation back, they don't have a standard that's set by God to live by. Society has set their own standard to live by, and the problem with mankind setting standards is that they can lower those standards to justify their actions. And this is a problem that I'm sure State Senator Guillory has seen and realized. And it's I applaud him for leaving the Democratic Party. I have sent him email. I think I sent him an email, but I may have posted something on his social Facebook page that he has about beware of the Republican Party. Don't let the Republican Party change your values or make you compromise your principles. Hold fast to your principles, and if anything, change the Republican Party. And I would say that for Democrats too. I mean, if you want to stay a registered Democrat and you don't believe in abortion, and you don't believe in morning after pills, and if you believe that Bible reading should be taught, should be read in school to those children whose parents want them to have the Bible read to their children, then stand by your principle and try to change the platform of your party. I grew up in a home where both my parents were Democrats and voted Democrats all of their life. When I got to voting age, I got into voting age, it was right at the end of the Reagan administration, and having lived and experienced 8 years of Reagan, my voting record stood as Republican. It's been during the Bush Jr.'s administration, mainly his second term, that I began to see through the smoke that the Republican Party really doesn't stand for what they state they stand for. They say one thing and do another. And since then, I've just see the similarities between Republican and Democratic platforms. They come at it from different angles. Democrats come at it from the government perspective, and Republicans come at it from the business perspective, but both have the same goal in mind, which is more government and more control over our lives. And that is not what our country was set up and designed to do. The people who came to this country, the first pilgrims, the first settlers, actually came here escaping religious persecution from Europe, and they wanted to be free. They wanted to be free from that tyranny of religious persecution, from that oppression, being told that they could not have a Bible and that they could not read the Bible, and they had to submit to be it the Church of England or the Roman Catholic Church. And you fast forward to the 1700s, the latter part of 1700s, and this oppression expanded to property and pursuit of happiness, and it came to a head that the colonists were not being treated the same as those in England. They were being forced to pay a heavy burden in taxes, and they didn't have any representation in England, and so they declared their independence. And in the independence, declaring independence, they wanted to have the freedom to pursue, pursue their happiness. They wanted not to be governed by someone or an entity over them, but they wanted to govern themselves. The colonists and the founding fathers felt that we could govern ourselves and not have to have a government or a dictator ruling over us. So, this is how the formation of our country became to be. And it's, Alexis de Tocqueville, I think, called it the American experiment. And if you had never heard of Alexis de Tocqueville, he was a Frenchman who came to the United States in the 1800s and toured the United States and looked at the political the political system and religious system and economic system. And it's he has a book about his experiences here and what he's seen, and it's something I'd recommend that you get and read. You'll learn a lot of what the environment was like back then, and you'll see how far we are from that now today. But I'm kind of rambling here because there's some other things that I wanted to talk about. The education, there was during this past legislative session in Louisiana, we had there was kind of a big debate over education, and it has to do with the Common Core. It was this other program called Compass, which is a teacher evaluation system, and student databases. Now, this legislature voted down what was SB 130, basically which would have instituted the Common Core and student data collecting in our public school systems. It was defeated. However, the board, I don't want to say necessarily the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, which Bessie said this, but the proponents of SB 130 and this agenda of getting Common Core introduced into our public system did not give up, and had made statements to the effect that they can get a lot of what they wanted accomplished without legislative approval. So there was an article came up, this is on the 17th of June, by Sarah Tan, this is NOLA.com. It's titled Board of Elementary and Secondary Education to meet Tuesday, discuss student databases, Compass, Common Core. And, there's a lot of people making good arguments for these programs. The only problem is that these are private companies that are involved in these programs. And it's like, as far as the data collection goes, the student data collection, that information that's being gathered on your child goes into a database being held by a private company. And public officials say, well, it's not going to be used for anything. It's just, well, let me read some of what this says. It's in this article. This is another article. I think it was the very next day by Sarah Tan, titled "Sharing of Student Data to be Monitored More Closely by the state board, which that title ought to tell you that the Bessie is leaning towards implementing these programs. But here's the article. I'm just going to read the whole article to you. State school board members are moving to exercise more oversight over Education Superintendent John White amid controversy surrounding his administration's sharing of student data with outside interest. They decided Tuesday to appoint a task force to monitor data sharing and advise the administration and the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. The Department of Education quietly entered into a partnership in early January with InBloom, a database funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to track student progress. But after parents and student advocates learned about the agreement and voiced concerns that student information might be sold to private companies, the department pulled all student data in April. In a presentation to Bessie on Tuesday, White explained why the department collects student information and the types of security systems it uses. He said the state and local school systems analyze everything from home addresses to grade level to academic performance in order to perform a myriad of tasks such as routing buses, writing report cards, and establishing class size. He stressed that the department has no intention of selling student information to any outside companies and that all private data is kept behind secure computer firewalls. We're not suggesting this is a perfect process, White said, but we hope we can get to the point where the public standards and trust that this is being done the right way. Board member Lottie Beebe bristled that the department hadn't publicized the InBloom partnership earlier. Quote, as a Bessie member, I can't ignore the fact that we entered into an agreement with InBloom without me being aware, she said. At the suggestion of board member Jim Garvey, the board ultimately voted to appoint a task force to experts to monitor and advise the board and administration concerning matters of student information. White went along with the proposal. Quote, there's nothing in the law that says every time the department shares information that it needs to be shared with the board, but I think there should be transparency and want to build trust, White said. Now, you gotta really listen to the words and read the words that was spoken here. White states that this system, this InBloom, this data collection, is let's see, said to state and local systems to analyze everything from home addresses to grade level to academic performance in order to perform a myriad of tasks such as routing buses, writing report cards, and establishing class size. Now, this is the thing, why do you need a private company to do this? What is so difficult in routing buses, writing report cards, and establishing class size? The point the point is silly to me that he made about this. He further says, let's see, where's it at? I can't find it. Well, and one of the school board members, Lottie Beebe, had stated the fact that she didn't even know about this agreement, this partnership that was entered into with InBloom. That right there ought to throw up a red flag. Why the secrecy behind the partnership? What is there's an agenda? If there's a secret, if there's something that can't be made public, especially in government, involving public interest, public schools and such, if they can't reveal that to the public, then there's got to be something fishy going on. But anyway, you could say, well, it's crazy talk. People just, they're getting up in arms about nothing. There was another article I came across. This was June 8th. By Dr. Susan Berry. This was from Breitbart.com, and it's titled "Report: Homeschooling Growing 7 Times Faster Than Public School Enrollment." Now, why is that? She states, as dissatisfaction with the U.S. public school system grows, apparently so has the appeal of homeschooling. Educational researchers, in fact, are expecting a surge in the number of students educated at home by their parents over the next 10 years as more parents reject public schools. Now, why would the parents reject public schools? Is it because the quality of education their child is receiving from the school is subpar? Is it because the public school systems are being encouraged, maybe forced to introduce programs that it was an article a few weeks ago that I read, I think Philadelphia, New Jersey, about I think 11-year-old children being exposed to what it's like to be lesbian and how to basically they had a little scenario set up where these children would, the little girls would act like they were lesbians and intermingle with other little girls. I mean, you think parents might be upset because of programs like that being introduced in the public school systems? Maybe there's something. Maybe parents don't want to have their children in public schools because information is being gathered on their child and being stored in private company databases to be, the proponents to say just to be stored, to be used for routing buses and writing report cards. I don't think those parents want this information being gathered on their child. You look at who backs these kind of programs. It was mentioned Bill Gates, Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. He has a very large software company. How better to secure business in government, public school systems by controlling the data that's gathered and writing software to supply that need, and to write software to make the curriculum that the schools will teach the children, and it goes in the Common Core. But yeah, there's a growing section of the population, parents who are now homeschooling their children because they don't want their child being exposed to what public school education is giving them. So these are things that you might take for granted, and you shouldn't. We need to be more vigilant and aware to what's going on in our school systems. This week, the Supreme Court struck down an Arizona law. This is from Reuters, June 17th. States U.S. Supreme Court on Monday struck down an Arizona law that required people registering to vote in federal elections to show proof of citizenship. A victory for activists who said it had discouraged Native Americans and Latinos from voting. The 7-2 vote, the court, in an opinion written by conservative Justice Scalia, ruled the voter registration provision of the 2004 state law was trumped by federal law, the 1993 National Voter Registration Act. The state law was opposed by the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund and Indian tribes. They said it deterred legal voters who did not have the required paperwork from registering to vote. We're all American citizens. And if you don't have a birth certificate that says you're an American citizen, well, then you should have some sort of documentation that shows you have been naturalized as a citizen. It's something that you're going to have. You're going to have a birth certificate. If you lose it, you can get another birth certificate. You can get a certified birth certificate. If you're a naturalized citizen, you're going to have paperwork that's put in your hand stating that you've become an American citizen. So the argument or the problems that I'm having with this, what the Supreme Court has done, for one, the Arizona law did not prevent anybody from voting. All it says is that you got to show proof of citizenship. How hard is it when you go to vote to bring your birth certificate to show to I forget what they call the people that run the polls. But anyway, to bring a birth certificate, or to bring naturalization papers with you to vote. What is wrong with that? Why is it against the law? And why? How does federal law trump state law? It's nowhere in the Constitution will you find that the federal government has authority to do that. It's actually reserved to the states, as stated by the 10th Amendment. You can look through the Constitution and tell me where it says that a state cannot require proof of citizenship. It's one of these things where it's the federal government stepping on states' rights, state sovereignty. These are issues that, as citizens, we are letting the federal government do. It troubles me that people are not concerned about these things. They're not concerned because they feel like it doesn't affect them. And it may not affect you right now. But there are things that do affect us. And one being, national health care. That is going to affect every American. And you might say, well, that's great, we're all going to get health care, but it's not going to work that way. It's something I'm not against. I'm not against every American having being able to have access to health care, and I'm not saying that if you can't afford it, you can't get it. But what I'm saying is that it's not something for the national government to be involved in. It's a state and local issue. It's to me health care should be more of a public service than it is private business. Doctors and nurses and such, they need to make a living. I understand that, and there's nothing wrong with doctors having private practices and people that can pay for the services. But if there are people who cannot pay for the service, they should be able to access doctors and health care publicly through public hospital, public clinic. I haven't done much research on it. I can remember the charity hospital system. A few people that I've talked to that grew up in the heyday of the charity hospital system said it was great, that it wasn't free, but it was affordable, and you didn't get denied. You didn't get denied the care that you needed. What happened to that system? To me, like I said, I haven't looked a lot into it, but to me, it was bureaucrats got involved and messed the system up. Greedy hands got into the pockets of the charity system and ruined it. But it's something that can be resurrected. It's something that can be changed, and I think it's something that could be profitable or beneficial to all of us in Louisiana. It's we have to rethink what government is and the purpose of government. A couple weeks we got 4th of July coming up, and to me, years past, the 4th of July meant, barbecuing and fireworks and having a good time. Probably in the last 5 to 6 years, going probably 8 years, it's become to mean more than just another day to have a party, a good time. It's come to mean that that as a country we declared that we will govern ourselves, and I think it's something that's it's overlooked today. It's not even treasured anymore. It's not cherished, and that's why we're going down this road of destruction, because people don't care anymore. People don't care, but what people think freedom and liberty is a far cry what it's supposed to be and what it was meant to be and what it was back 1776, 1788, 1812. It's things have gotten turned so far upside down, and we need to realize that we're not the country that we're supposed to be. I'm gonna just about time to wrap it up. There was another article I wanted to read about this court case in Arizona, but I, like I always do, talk too much and get off track. Today's show